and we back, 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 and we and we back, and we back.
Hello and welcome. I am so thrilled to be welcoming you to day 2 of Codapalooza, our first annual Code for Good Summit hosted by 2 of your favorite nonprofits, Code Your Dreams and TechLit Africa. I hope you're all finding yourselves safe and healthy on this Thursday evening. My name is Brianne Kaplan. I'm the Executive Director and Founder at Code Your Dreams, a nonprofit with the mission of driving equity in computer science education and building pathways for underrepresented groups to enter into the tech sector. I founded Code Your Dreams while working as a data scientist at a technology startup, and since left the tech sector to focus on this mission with my nonprofit, as well as serving as the program director for careers in computer science at the University of Chicago. I am beyond excited for tonight's event, using technology to build a better world. This Zoom room is filled with so much passion, excitement, and innovation. We have speakers leveraging technology to make an impact in a diversity of areas: climate action, gender equity, criminal justice, global education, and the list goes on. I want to start with a quote that I've been known to tell students at Code Your Dreams, because it really gets to the heart of our community-centered program, where students are building technology with their communities. It also melds perfectly with the spirit of tonight. There is no greater power than a community discovering what it cares about. Margaret Wheatley continues, ask what is possible, not what's wrong. Keep asking. Notice what you care about. Assume that many others share your dreams. Be brave enough to start a conversation that matters. Talk to people you know. Talk to people you don't know. Talk to people you never talk to. Be intrigued by the differences you hear. Expect to be surprised. Treasure curiosity more than certainty. Invite everybody who cares to work on what's possible. Acknowledge that everyone is an expert about something. Know that creative solutions come from new connections. Remember, you don't fear people whose story you know. Real listening always brings people closer together. Trust that meaningful conversations can change your world. Rely on human goodness. Stay together. We wouldn't be here without our amazing sponsors, Coder Heroes, Microsoft Teals, and GamerJibe. Thank you for making this possible. And everyone, don't miss out. GamerJibe is hosting our after party tonight after this event on their 3D virtual platform. We will have raffles, we will have virtual booths, and we'll have networking opportunities galore. So come hang out and continue these amazing conversations with us. On that note, this is a community event. We want to hear your voice, your ideas, your insights. We're better together. Please continue the conversation on social media. Introduce yourselves in the chat. After each of the speakers, feel free to put any questions that you have in the Q&A. Now, I'm going to take a moment to introduce our hosts for this evening. Code Your Dreams is an incubator for youth voice, tech skills, and social justice. Our academic year and summer programs challenge students to come up with tech solutions that help their communities. They learn design thinking, user research, user experience design, programming, sales, and marketing to bring their ideas into a reality. Our students don't just build technology, they also build their communities. Our students put on many different hats: product manager, designer, software developer, and marketers. But they also aren't just technologists. They're also community activists. Our students take on some of our community's toughest challenges with code. I'm also excited to introduce our second host for this evening, TechLit Africa. Hear more about TechLit Africa soon during Nelly's presentation. And now I'm so excited to preview some of our amazing speakers. We have El Ramel, Chicago Director for Get Cities, Sophia Gross, Public Policy Manager at Snap. Nelly Shaboy, Founder at TechLit Africa. Devshi Mehrotra, CEO and co-founder at JusticeText. Salim Tazel, Curriculum Developer at MIT App Inventor. And JD Whitman, founder at Plasticity Project. Finally, I am beyond excited to announce our incredible moderators for this evening, Jillian and Michaela. They are not only tonight's moderators, but they'll also be presenting how they're changing the world with technology, just like our presenters today. Jillian and Michaela graduated from our Code Your Dream summer program. They worked really hard with us, and they also had a lot of fun. And I'm excited for them to inspire you all with their incredible work. They've developed impactful and inventive new applications, but I can assure you that their impact did not end when they graduated. They continue to imagine creative solutions, build impactful technology, and advocate for their communities. As we hear from Jillian and Michaela today, remember, they're not just our future, they are our today. I look to our students as today's change makers, innovators, activists, and technologists. With that, Jillian, I welcome you to the stage.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jillian, and I will be your first moderator today. I'm a freshman at Whitney Young at Chicago Public High School. I'm also a Code Your Dreams graduate and alum. Over the summer, I worked with Code Your Dreams to create my app, Politeia, which means the rights of citizens. My app focuses on the problem of police brutality, especially in the Black community, and aims to improve relations through reviews. These reviews would allow people a way to share their interactions and feelings about those interactions with others. I am currently enhancing my app with the hopes of it reaching a broader audience. Code Your Dreams taught me that I can see a problem and solve it with code. Thank you. I will now pass it over to my co-moderator, Michaela.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michaela, and I will be your second moderator today. I am in the 12th grade at a Chicago public school. I'm a Code Your Dreams graduate and alum. I built an app called Let's Vote to impact the community, which helps solve a voting problem for the younger adults. Let's Vote specifically targets the demographics between 18 through 24 years old in hopes to increase higher voter registration and voter turnout. However, the app is for other demographics as well. The app was designed to provide a quick access to the user polling location, such as to provide them with a quick synopsis of each candidate's platform. Code Your Dreams has taught me the power of technology in creating change and letting all voices be heard. And if you don't mind, I would like to show you guys a video of the app. Can you see my screen? Here's the video. This is the first thing that you'll see when entering the app. You press next and it will take you to the home page. It will just tell you the president and the dropouts. When you click on the president, it tells you why they're running for president and a little bit of info about them. Now you have this triple form, just send you to another screen asking, would you like to set a reminder? Why it's important to vote, and would you like to vote? When you want to set a reminder, you press yes. It sends you to vote alert. And you just simply have to type in your information, Gmail, first name, then you push notification, you push show current date, and it'll show you the format you're supposed to type in your date. And on the bottom of the screen, I tell you when early voting starts and the election date. So you push enter and you, after 5 seconds, you get your notification that you see it right here. Then you push next and it tells you that you successfully signed up for a reminder. Then you go back to the home screen. Then you go back to the triple bar. And the importance of voting is just a list. It's actually 11 things that's listed. I'm just going to scroll down. Then you have, would you like to vote? We'll just send you to a website that shows you physically your polling location near you. And that's my app.
Thank you.
That's my presentation.
Yes, Michaela and Jillian, you are just the most incredible. Thank you so much for being our amazing moderators today. And with that, I invite Elle to take the stage.
Hi, Brianne. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm going to share a couple slides with everyone today. And I'm just so thrilled to be a part of Code Your Dreams this year. Hi, everyone. My name is Elle Ramel. I'm the Chicago director for Get Cities. It's a new initiative, and Chicago is the first city of 3. So we're really excited to have gotten this opportunity. Get stands for Gender Equality in Tech. So I'd like to talk as a tech advocate and someone with a background in policy, how I use my platform to advance gender parity in technology. So I think there's just some sobering facts to consider. At this moment, women hold 26% of the tech jobs in the United States. And then if you even step back and think about intersectionality, Black women are only 3% of our tech workforce. And then addressing different genders such as trans and non-binary, there's so little research in that space that those numbers are not even widely studied at the moment. So Get Cities exists to shift power to women, trans and non-binary people in tech with a focus on Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So we want to ensure that the tech industry is an engine for and not against equity and economic justice. So this project really became initiated by the interest of Melinda Gates at the Gates Foundation in the larger global empowerment of women and other genders. In the United States, this became Get Cities. So in 2020, Get City Chicago was announced as the first city. And my background, just so everyone knows, I'm an economic development professional. I used to work for the mayor's office, but I also used to manage tech teams in architecture, as well as tech teams and partnerships for smart cities. So let's say you want an autonomous vehicle to go down the Kennedy Expressway in Chicago. I would be saying, okay, you might need to talk to the Department of Transportation. Do you got signs? Or is everyone okay with that in the community? So I'm kind of more on the policy side of the tech space. And so Get Cities has 3 goals. One is in academia. We have a partnership with UIC to graduate more women, trans, and non-binary out of computer science there. And that's how I was able to meet with Brianne. So thank you that's where I first made contact. Industry, increasing the number of women, trans, and non-binary in the tech workforce, and then also directing more funding to women, trans, and non-binary owned companies. And so if we just look at the kind of trends here, one of the big trends that I really am looking at is while 42% of the US businesses are owned by women at the moment, when I made these slides, 2.7% of venture capital in 2019 was invested in women-founded startups. We actually got the numbers yesterday, 2.2% of 2020 venture capital. So we've taken some hits. So that's the kind of issues I champion. Trying to increase, thinking about COVID-19, I'm trying to increase the number of women and other genders in the tech workforce. COVID-19, we've already lost 2.1 million women in the workforce. So we have work to do where it's not even just increasing right now, it's really hoping to retain and fight for those kind of spaces. So what are we kind of doing at the moment? So I wanted to just bring the attention to one of our first programs I'm delighted to be involved in. We really did extensive research starting Get Cities about where can we help intervene. And so I think with Code Your Dreams and these opportunity for that pipeline into that tech job, into getting to know how to code, one of the things we found is that in the first 5 years of a professional career, that's a really critical moment where you might get that job in technology, but how are you getting promoted? How do you know how to become a manager? Actually, in a lot of our research, over 50% of the minority women in tech are actually at that level 1 space of a job. So that first promotion and that first job is very important. So Get Cities initiated the Get Chicago Fellowship. It's a paid 9-month project-based learning experience for 20 Chicago-based women, trans, and non-binary technologists. So I don't know if you've ever seen Ocean's 11. I love this example. What if you got a product manager, a back-end developer, front-end developer, quality engineer, a design research, all in one group, and you had them design projects at a really early part of their career? And so that's our hope. It's that even if you're working at McDonald's or you're working at Google, our fellowship is giving you a 9-month opportunity to try your hand at starting a project that helps to advance gender parity. That could be a research paper, it could be an app, it could be a new startup. I mean, I'm happy to say, if I launch new startups in Chicago, that would be amazing. So they're working on collaborative projects. We have career mentoring as well that I'll go into, and then also expanding the community and network, connecting with organizations such as this one and other organizations that can help advance careers. And so I'm really excited to see that when we went out and asked for applicants, we had so many talented applicants, and it was heart-wrenching to just decide who would be a part of this first cohort. And don't worry, there'll be other cohorts if you're interested. But you know, demographics wise, it's majority non-white. There's a LGBTQIA component, and then something that I'm also passionate about is it's not that traditional computer science route for everyone. Like we've seen a lot of people come to learning code in different ways. So 50% of our fellows are self-taught or in graduates from boot camps. So getting to combine all these different companies and experiences, we're just hoping that more people can form these collaborative friendships, allies, and hey, if there's 20 tech CEOs in 10 years, I'm not going to be surprised. So how can you get involved? First of all, this is the first year. Stay tuned. There will be other opportunities. But we're going to be having some public events that I'm really excited to bring to you. First of all, there's going to be user testing nights. So kind of a user testing or design huddle. The fellows in the summer are going to be presenting their wireframes, their prototypes, and we're going to need this whole community to say, hey, that really works for me. Could you do some more research? Could you look into this issue? There'll be demo days as well for these problems that the fellows are working on. We have everything from ways that people interview, to how can women and other genders express the willingness to fail. So there's a lot of different how might we problem statements being researched right now. Additionally, we are partnering with an organization that's been an amazing part of the Chicago ecosystem called Icstars. Icstars is helping us provide 3 career modules. First, finding your tech North Star. Okay, you're in this job right now, but is that your 5-year plan? Is that your 10-year plan? Is your 100-year plan to be the grand poobah of all things technology? That's this thing we're going to sort out. Voice, working on leveraging and pitching, branding, telling your story. And then finally, community, growing your network, but also like leveraging it to 10x. How do you take everyone you know? How do you work through LinkedIn? How do you do virtual networking? And so I'm going to paste these in the chat, but we're going to be providing not only the fellowships with those career trainings, but we're going to avail these to the public. So I've provided some dates here, February, March, and June, but there's going to be workshops just for you. So your Tech North Star, finding your voice, and building your community. So again, this is a new program. We're building and learning. We don't know what we can provide to Chicago, and that's why I'm here, is reach out to me. I'm going to put my LinkedIn and these events in the chat, but I'd love to know how Get Cities can serve you, can serve your organization, and serve your network. So thank you so much for letting me present, and I'm excited to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Al. Jillian, you're up for your question.
I originally gained an interest in computer science from an all-girls tech summer camp. To know the importance of women in tech especially, what would you say to girls like me who are interested in a career in tech?
I think that's a great question, Jillian. I'm just so happy that you were able to go to that summer camp. I think one thing is tech is a really broad thing that empowers most industries. The thing I found interesting in Chicago is these tech jobs are not just at your traditional startup. They're at banks, they're at hospitals. So I would encourage people that are interested in technology jobs. Technology is actually turning into a word kind of like law. You can do technology in almost any other industry. So really thinking about what kind of products you like to use, what kind of apps, when you go and you're in an elevator and it's got a screen that's telling you about transit, do you really like that product? So I would even identify the kinds of spaces you enjoy working in or the things you use day to day, and almost pursuing the companies that help provide that solution. And so really just understanding who works there, how did they get there? I also have learned a lot in my career saying, wow, you know, for example, Melody Hobson is one of my heroes. She came out of Ariel Investments, chair of World Business Chicago. Also learning about what other type of women around you that have a career that you could be in maybe 20 years, what did they do? Did they go get an MBA? Did they go to a coding boot camp? Just really thinking about kind of who else went through your journey and how can you sort of do the same things.
Thank you so much, Elle. You're amazing. And I just really appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So next up, we have Sophia.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for having me. Such a powerful group. I love seeing the presentations, and I know that's only a glimpse of all the other amazing work that is happening. I think what's really important is a similar sentiment to Elle, but actually I would say even broader within technology organizations. So I especially love the initiative specifically around civics and how we can leverage technology to further our democracy. So I do not have a technology background because I am not as smart as the folks on this call, but I leverage public policy and social impact partnerships. So I take a look at what some of the largest issues facing society are, whether that be our response to COVID, mental health, suicide prevention, or civic engagement, and how we can help this next generation of Americans. You guys have grown up being able to do whatever you want from your phones, except engage civically. So how do we change that? The fact that you guys do have these technological backgrounds are amazing because it means you will be able to understand how you can integrate the APIs that are out there into the platforms that you represent, but leveraging them for social change and social impact is absolutely something that you can do from some of these larger organizations that you hear a lot about. And also from a local community standpoint, that's what I love about so much of what we heard through the original presentation too, which is the conversations become so national because of the internet, which is in some ways is awesome, but also using all this amazing technology to also bring it back into your local communities in ways that you can make a difference in the everyday lives of the people that you care so much about. Thanks, Brianne.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Michaela, your app, I think, is really relevant here. So Michaela presented her app called Let's Vote, which aims to increase voting within the youth demographic. So I would wonder, Sophia, like, what would your feedback be for Michaela and her app? How can she be also a part of this great movement?
Yeah, for sure. I love it. So at Snapchat, we were very similar in our approach of, okay, how do we make sure that Snapchatters who are mostly first-time voters aware of how to get registered, how to then actually understand what's on their ballot, which was so thoughtful about your experience as well. And then showing up to vote is confusing in general, especially during a pandemic, it gets even more confusing. I remember when I first saw early voting signs in Chicago, I was like, wait, did I miss an election? Like, did the date change? So one thing that we found to be really compelling with this demographic of first-time voters specifically was how inspired they were regarding issues, right? So I think what's really fascinating with Gen Z is that they didn't show up for presidential candidates because they believed in those individuals. They cared about the issues on the ballot that those individuals represented. And so part of what we did from a design perspective was offer users to see their entire sample ballot. And then you could toggle your ballot based on an issue that you cared about. So let's say that issue was climate change or gun control. The ballot would then change and pre-select for you the candidates that advocate on behalf of those issues. So that way you can vote based on the issue you care about. One thing we also know with first-time voters is that, and this was true for me for sure, when I showed up to vote for the first time for president, I was like, wait, what is all of this other stuff? Like, no one tells you there's all this other stuff on your ballot. So part of what we also wanted to do at Snapchat was make sure that election day doesn't feel like a test that you didn't get the chance to study for. We want to make sure that you have all the resources that you need to make sure that voting becomes the most empowering, awesome experience that you want to do every single time you can because it was so positive in nature. So we helped over 1.2 million Snapchatters register to vote this election cycle, and over half of which were first-time voters. So making sure we're holding their hands, that none of this stuff is too confusing or overwhelming, and really just pulling back the barriers that typically disenfranchise young people from showing up.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Michaela, did you have a question? That's okay. Well, thank you so much, Sophia, for your time today. Love having you here. So next up, we have Nellie.
Hi, everyone. Yes, we will have the recordings afterwards. So as long as you registered for the event, we'll send you the recordings afterwards. Anyway, on to my presentation. So my name is Nellie Cheboy. I am the founder of TechLit Africa. And can you see my screen? Yeah, okay. Right, okay, good, great. Okay, so at TechLit Africa, we build computer labs in rural African schools, and I'm going to go a little bit more on why that is important. So this is my story. I grew up in rural Kenya, and these are some pictures here, some grids here, pictures of my life growing up. On the top left here is a picture of my mom. She's outside a kiosk. She was a street food vendor. She will make food and sell it during the day. She will only make $2 on a good day. And she worked really hard to put us through school. So these are my sisters over here. This is my sister Sharon. This is my sister Barbara. She worked really hard to put us school, but even that, we just grew up in poverty. We didn't have enough food growing up. We didn't have the best living conditions. And for me, the only way out of poverty was study really hard in school. And I studied really hard in school. I got a full scholarship to come to Augustana College. That's the first time I also used a computer. And the significance of these pictures is that the pictures on the top, you can see we are all outside. We were so embarrassed to go inside either our place of business or inside our house because we felt like it wasn't decent enough to even take a photograph in or invite any friends. But this picture right here is a picture after I came to America, after 1 year as a college student, and I moved my family into a better house. So I came to America. I could work as a student. I was saving $8 a day. I was earning $8 an hour as a work study program, saved for 1 year, moved my family to a better house, and went to Goodwill, bought fancy dresses, and then we moved to fancy houses. And then for the first time, we were taking pictures inside the house. This is a picture of my mom, where she lives now. She lives on her own land. She doesn't have to worry about raising us or providing for us. We're taking care of for her. And this is a picture of my grandma. My grandma never got a chance to go to school. She always wanted to get a degree. And in this picture, I gave her my graduation gown, and I just told her, hey, here's your here's your honorary degree. And she was really happy. So my story is not unique. This is the story of anyone growing up in rural Africa. We're growing up without access to technology, access to just so many things. And for me, after I moved my family out of poverty, I moved next to move my community out of poverty. And the first thing I thought I could do was I would build a school. So 2 years into America, I started saving money, and I started with just 4 simple classrooms. It cost me $6,000. I would save as much as I could, build a classroom. And then I discovered computer science. So when I was building the classroom, I needed to take an intro to Java for my math major. And I just typed something, and then there was Hello World. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what. And around that time, I kept thinking of why, I kept thinking mostly of why as Africa or as Kenya, why we are poor. And the more I thought about it, it became clear that it's really lack of our system. We don't have the system in place to enable us. For example, if I need to get a loan to expand my school, for example, I'll have to pay like 16% in interest rate and start paying like the next month just to build a school. Even though I'm very credible, I have a school, kids are paying to attend this school. We don't have the best roads. We don't have even like the best postal service. And so if you are to start a business in Kenya, you just have a much bigger hill to climb than if you're to start a business in America. And if you have the systems like that in place, then you're continuously disadvantaged. If you look at all our businesses, it's just a small business. We don't even have middle-sized business because you require so many infrastructure in place to be working to have a great business. But on the other hand, if you look at technology, if you look at how much you can do by just having a computer, I think most of us on this call today, I mean, for the rest of 2020, I've been able to earn enough income just by having a computer, just from working remotely from your bedroom. And when I started majoring in computer science and later on became a software engineer, I realized this is the one resource that I could relocate. I could relocate and provide this amazing resource to my community. I don't need to have amazing roads. We don't need to have fibers everywhere. We don't need to have shipping or the best banking infrastructure. All we need to do is to take these computers that are going to waste in America and put them in schools so that kids, when I was growing up, I didn't have access to computers, but then the kids, the next generation of African kids are growing up with computers. They're growing up just with, if TechLit Africa accomplishes its mission, there will be no different for someone growing up in America and someone growing up in rural Kenya. They're growing up having access to technology. They're growing up knowing how to build mobile apps, how to have website, and they have access to the global economy. And on the reverse, and the reverse of that, let's say TechLit never works, we never complete our mission. With technology, everything is 10 times faster. Everything is 10 times better. Our reach is 10 times. So if in a world where technology is like multiples of making things better, for people who don't have access to it, they're multiples behind, right? And for me, I'm just tired of Africa being left behind. And as I see the impact of technology, as I see how impactful it was to have technology in 2020, I just really want to get the computers that are going to waste here. So that is the overarching vision of TechLit Africa. And I'm going to show you some pictures of what we are doing. So this is some example of our programs. So we take the computer donations. My co-founder and I are both software engineers. We take computer donations from corporations. We work with open source curriculum. We equip them, and then we spend 6 months of the year in Kenya. So we spend 6 months over here sourcing the computers, and the next 6 months in Kenya building, working with the kids. So we iterate on the program every day. We watch what they like, and if they like it, we empower that in them. And if they don't like it, we try something else. So our process is very, very involved, because it means a lot when they keep coming back every day, and when this is the most, like, the favorite activity in the world. So this is just, I've already mentioned about this, but most people growing up in Kenya, they'll first use a computer at 18, which I think is really old. And we're working to like take that number down, even like to 2 years instead. Our curriculum is also self-directed, so it's going to take us a long time to train all the teachers to show how to use the computers, but it's really easy to make our UI very intuitive, so that all the kids need to do is just press enter, and they already have a very exciting menu, and then from the menu they start playing. And also, we also leverage working together. So the kids are working together, and as they're working together, they're teaching each other. Here is a video of that in action. So you see they're all playing the same game. So they find ways to make it social. And they're just helping each other. I'll go to the next one. Anyway, that's an example. So that game is a clone of Super Mario. So all of them used to find a way. So you'll notice that they have that social aspect. We don't tell them that go open this game and start playing. They choose what games to play. But you'll see that most of them decide to choose games which are next to each other. So when we were there, we worked with over 1,200 kids to iterate on the program. This is just another picture of Shayla. I'll go really quick. We have, because of lack of internet, we have our own intranet server. So we, all our computers are networked locally. And in the server, we have things like Wikipedia and Khan Academy that kids can quickly search and see the information. We also have a multiplayer game that look like this. So this is in the afternoon where all the kids just, they're all competing. So this is a clone of Super Mario Kart. The kids are inside competing, and then the ones outside are just cheering each other. Okay. Anyway, and then for the school, I mentioned the school earlier on. Right now, the school is becoming a 4-storied community center. So we are working on building a 4-storied community center to accommodate some other programs. So right now we are working with kids, but we'd like to accommodate other segments of the population, like high school students and college students, and also adults, by providing adult literacy classes and vocational training. So this is what we are building in 2021. It's a 4-storied community center that we already started. This is the progress we're going to be providing there. Anyway, and this is a picture of how our work looks like in Chicago. We have a senator right here inspecting our work, and this is the picture from from a pickup, right? And if you're inspired by this mission and our mission to bring the technology leverage to Africa, you can support us in various ways. You can volunteer with us. We are a startup, and so we have so many spots available. You can rally your network and your groups by creating a campaign or do a peer-to-peer fundraising. You can join the network, which is a monthly giving program. For only $10 a month, you're supporting one kid each month to grow up with technology. Or you can join the Merge, which is our newsletter. You can get all this from our website. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nellie. I mean, you're extraordinary, and the work that you do is extraordinary. I value you so much as a person in the work that you do. So thank you so much for your amazing presentation.
Thank you.
I can't wait until we can bring Code Your Dreams to Kenya and
sure.
get there post-COVID. That is what I'm just dreaming of every single day. So I will now pass the mic to Jillian for her question.
I admire you for having the courage and empathy to build a nonprofit that helps your community in Kenya. So I want to make things better for my community and make a change that's as great as yours. Where does your confidence come from?
I think I've been thinking a lot about, that's a really good question. I've been thinking about that lately, and I think for me, my confidence and almost my undying devotion to my community it's just seeing the stories. My story sounds really sad. I mean, yes, it's a sad story, I know, but it's not unique. Like everybody's like that. And so when you do something really simple, like bring a laptop and seeing how impactful it is with the kids, it's the most fulfilling thing on earth, right? Knowing that what you had to go through as a kid, just one generation later, they're not going through that, right? I didn't use a computer as a kid, but now kids in my community, the next generation, they're already using computers. So just seeing that what I'm doing is making an impact and closely understanding my community and seeing how I can best help them. Yeah, I don't think it's really confidence. It's just more like believing that this is what I have to do, right? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nellie. Next up, we have Devshi.
Hi, everyone. This has been such an inspirational evening. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Nellie, for sharing your stories. And yeah, I'm just really, really glad to be here. I do have a quick presentation that I'd love to share. And so thank you for organizing the space and this community, Bree. Let's give it a second to load, but hi everyone, my name is Devshi. I am 23 years old and I would love to talk about my experience recently graduating from college and then deciding to dive right in and actually build my own company, which is something that I never thought I could do. I definitely did not see many people who looked like me, who were in my immediate family, network of friends doing it. And it's genuinely been one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life so far. So I would love to share and answer any questions that you may have as well. 5 years ago, I moved to Chicago, which is where I imagine many of you are currently, to attend school at the University of Chicago. I decided that I wanted to be a computer science major, not because I knew anything about computer science, but because it sounded cool. And because a lot of my, mentors told me that it was just incredibly powerful, regardless of what I really cared about, regardless of where I wanted to drive my impact. Computer science would be a tool that would help me do that. So I had no idea what that looked like, but I went into my freshman year just really, really determined to figure that out. I will say the classes were very difficult. They were stressful. They required many, many hours of working in the lab, working with friends, crying through projects. But at the same time, it felt so empowering to be learning a skill where I could create the change that I wanted to at any given point. I would say one of the really pivotal experiences for me were the internships that I started doing in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley in many ways was like a dream world for me from the outside. I would see movies about it. I would hear about, other famous people who were starting all these incredible ventures. And I was like, I want to figure out what this whole world is about. So my freshman summer, I was fortunate enough to get an internship at Facebook. That was my first shot at mobile development. I learned how to create an iOS app, and I, worked with a group of really, really smart, fellow interns to create something that makes it easy for people to volunteer in their community. It was just a summer project, but we had the opportunity to present it to Mark Zuckerberg at the end of the summer. And that was one of those things that gave me a huge boost of confidence that, 1 year in, learning about computer science, learning about coding, this is something that I could definitely do. And so I was obsessed. I wanted to keep following this journey. I wanted to keep learning. Next summer, I hopped over not too far at Google, and the team that I was placed on there was actually focused on medical machine learning. And this was, once again, a whole new world for me. I had no idea what machine learning was. I had not worked in the medical space. But what it really started, honing in for me personally was that these skills that I was learning were pretty universal. As long as I understood the fundamentals, as long as I committed to really growing and really developing, I could use the skills that I was learning and apply them to such a vast array of resources. And so I, then spent some time at Microsoft, which was great. I love Seattle, went to DeepMind Health, which was cool. And so these were all great opportunities. But I would say by my fourth internship, one thing was very clear to me, that this just wasn't it. This wasn't my calling. This wasn't what I wanted to dedicate my life doing, dedicate my life building. I thought the idea of creating, of coding was amazing. But the issues that really drove me, I would say were very different. One of the things that I got really, really involved in while I was a student was local organizing, both on campus and the nearby community around criminal justice reform. And as many of you are likely aware, just a year before I moved to Chicago, there was the police shooting of a teenage African-American boy who was shot 16 times by a local police officer. In the aftermath of that shooting, I saw something incredibly frustrating transpire. The Chicago police and the Chicago city government invested billions of dollars in technological solutions that were designed to make it easier for police officers to incarcerate and arrest members of their community. So you would see facial recognition tools, gang databases, which would have young boys 7 years old all the way up to senior citizens 70 years old. And also, more smart weaponry. And I think one of the things that kept sticking to me at the back of my mind that I was thinking about was why every time technology is applied within the criminal justice system, why is it done so in ways that are so misaligned with the needs of the community? And what I came to realize was that, technology entrenches the values of the institutions and communities it serves. If you decide that, the institution that you're going to try to help, try to support is the police officers, then it's going to be their priorities that are embedded within whatever technology you create. The tools themselves are pretty universal. I would say they don't have any moral implication in and of themselves. And so I decided for myself that I had to be intentional about which communities I wanted to serve with the skills that I did have. And so what I did, I won't show this video actually. What I did was start learning a lot about America's public defense system. And for those of you who aren't aware, public defenders are responsible for representing low-income Americans who don't otherwise have access to a lawyer. 80% of low-income Americans rely on public defenders to help them navigate court to preserve their rights. But unfortunately, the defense system is in complete crisis. What we ended up doing was, public defenders sound like an incredible community of people. We would love to be able to help them in some way, shape, or form. And so my co-founder, Leslie, and I, we just decided one day, let's just reach out. We have nothing to lose. Let's see what happens. And so we sent an email over to the Chicago Public Defender's Office, and they responded. So Leslie and I, we got in an Uber, went to our local public defenders, and what we discovered is that one of the really, really big paradigm shifts that's taking place within the justice system is just how much data is being collected from body cameras, from interrogation videos, from jail calls. And surprisingly, there has been no investment done on the back end to help attorneys actually make sense of this information. So we realized that we could be helpful here, and that's exactly what we got started doing. I have spoken with hundreds, definitely over 500 public defenders by now. That's the only way any technologist can hope to try and be helpful. And I've heard similar types of stories over and over again. Cases in which a public defender is representing a client who has been detained in jail for months, if not years on end. And he, unfortunately, in this particular case, this public defender in Kansas couldn't do anything about it because he had no resources, no time to actually be able to thoroughly review his case. And so understanding the human impact of the space that we were in has been absolutely critical for us. What we ended up developing was an evidence management tool to help these public defenders quickly transcribe any digital evidence that they have, pick out key insights that they might want to focus in on, and make it really easy for them to create video clips as they prepare for trial. The status quo is crazy right now. Attorneys literally spend hours and hours just sifting through this data, and we're trying to use our technology to make that easier. So yeah, as an example, if you're an attorney and you're looking through an interrogation video, you can quickly check if your client was actually read their Miranda rights. You can quickly check if there were instances of police coercion, of misconduct, admission of guilt, different types of things. And we've started to get really encouraging feedback from a lot of our early adopters. So yeah, I'll skip over a couple of these, but we have seen very encouraging growth over the past 2 months. We've partnered with public defenders in New York, in Houston, Cincinnati, Oakland, all over the country, and really, really trying to move out of pilot mode and actually launch JusticeText in the next 2 months. So yeah, these are some of our wonderful, wonderful attorneys who I'm always bothering, always bugging with questions. And this is me and Leslie, the founding team. I think this had been kind of referenced earlier as well, but once I graduated, I had to somehow provide for myself and fund my company. And so I also knew nothing about the world of venture capital. And I just went out there. I started speaking with investors and asking them, like, hey guys, this is what we're up to. I had no clue what I was doing in the beginning. They would ask me questions. I would just be confused. I would be shocked. But it encouraged me, and it really, really pushed me to try and refine my
Is it me or?
I think that Dev Shi's video may have gone down.
Oh no.
So I will just send her a quick message. If everyone can just be patient and we'll wait for Devshi to come back. This is the fun of virtual events. Stay tuned. Devshi said that her computer crashed. She'll rejoin in a bit. So how about maybe we'll move forward with JD's presentation. And then once Devshi comes back, we'll have her finish hers. So with that, I wish I could tell Devshi that she was incredible as always, but we'll let her continue soon. So JD, I welcome you now to the virtual stage.
Hi everyone. Hi Brianne, thanks for having me. I'm gonna share my screen so I can have some images to help explain what I'm doing. Can everybody see that? Yep. Okay, so again, hi everyone. I'm JD, I'm an ocean advocate and installation artist and the creator of Plasticity Project. Plasticity Project's mission is to investigate how art, science, and technology can be merged to facilitate effective science communication, increase eco-literacy rates, and drive climate action. Specifically, it's looking at how to educate viewers on the wonders of the ocean and anthropogenic threats to the ocean. So I'm here today to talk about how I use technology specifically in Plasticity Project to help improve ocean literacy in communities. So first, what is ocean literacy? In its simplest form, it is an understanding of the ocean, its influence on you, and your influence on it. And ocean literacy is absolutely essential for the health of the ocean and planet. It's necessary at an individual level, at a community level, at a global level. Problem is right now, ocean literacy rates are down. There are many reasons why this is, but two of the reasons that I'm looking at specifically are first, a decrease in ocean-based experiential learning and engagement, and second, an increase in ecophobia and climate anxiety. So ocean-based experiential learning and engagement is a learning method where students learn about the ocean by directly experiencing it and engaging with it. The most important thing that this method does is it allows students to develop an emotional connection to the ocean, and it drives their need to care for it and to feel a need to protect it. And the problem is that most students do not have access to the ocean. Not everybody lives near the ocean, and people who do may not have the capability to go to the ocean, and they may not want to go to the ocean. And I definitely know that while some people love to snorkel and scuba dive, a lot of people have no desire to get in the water and snorkel and scuba dive. So the problem is, without experiencing the ocean, a physical and a psychological distance emerges in these students at a very young age and just grows as they get older. And it leads to a misconception that threats to the ocean are not a present, local, or personal risk. And this causes students to just kind of not think about the ocean and have no regard for what their actions do to the ocean. So what I've been looking at is how more students can have access to the ocean and this learning method, even if they're not geographically near an ocean. The second problem is ecophobia and climate anxiety. So ecophobia is a negative response, a paralyzing fear, or a desensitization to large-scale environmental issues and disasters. Climate anxiety is a clinical term, and it is classified as a chronic fear of environmental doom. So all of these pictures on the right are pictures that have been pulled from the news in the past year. And they're terrible. They're really upsetting. So what ecophobia and climate anxiety cause is an overwhelming feeling of helplessness, a feeling that problems are too big to be solved, and varying degrees of guilt in people. And this leads to inaction and causes people to just shut down and not understand what they're seeing. So the problem that I see is that these images need to be used in education so that people can see what is going on and so that they can believe that the problems are as severe as they are. So the question becomes, how can students positively view these images, and how can people view these images, process them, and learn from them, even though they are extremely negative? So what I do is investigate how these issues can be addressed to improve ocean literacy. And what I've discovered is that art, science, and technology can be merged to create immersive and interactive installations in order to do so. So these installations can be strategically built to create a specific environment and direct a specific learning experience to bring the ocean to viewers, provide these ocean-based experiential learning and engagement learning methods, control the distribution of scientific information, circumvent ecophobia and climate anxiety, prompt the emotional connection to the ocean that's necessary, and inspire positive action. And I'm testing this through Plasticity Project, which is a series of these immersive and interactive installations. So each of the installations in Plasticity Project work to educate viewers on the threat of plastic pollution and how it is threatening marine ecosystems and global biodiversity. Each of these installations are large-scale, enterable plastic inflatables. So like on the bottom of this image, you can see an outside view. Both of these are what the inflatables look like. And then on the right, there's kind of a plan view or a diagram of how an installation would fit in a space. So the way that the viewers experience these installations is they enter these plastic inflatables and experience them from the inside. Once they're inside of the inflatable, projections of the ocean are cast onto the outside of the plastic inflatables. So here's an image to show that. So like in the bottom right, you can see what an image of the ocean would look like from the inside of an inflatable. I'm able to project these images in a way that make them look realistic by using projection mapping software. I currently work with Isadora. It's the best. I'm obsessed with it. And it allows you to grid whatever visual information you're using onto the three-dimensional object and restructure it so that it's proportionally accurate. And it also allows you to integrate audio so that the video and the audio can be changed as viewers are walking through the space in real time. So each of the installations, when you're inside, create this completely immersive environment. And the reason for that is I'm trying to recreate what it would feel like to be in the ocean or swimming along a coral reef. So people go through these installations and they feel this intense pressure of the air from the air that's blowing up these inflatables and keeping them inflated. And it kind of relates to what water pressure feels like when you're scuba diving. And there are these images, and the way that the light reflects through the plastic is reminiscent of how it goes through water. And there's also sound throughout different locations within the inflatable and outside the inflatable. So it creates this echoey chamber like sound would travel in water. So again, through it, the immersive installations and the creation of this immersive environment, you're recreating the marine environment so that people can have the opportunity to form that emotional connection and to actually experience the ocean. And while it is, you're obviously not in the ocean, you're completely removed from reality and put into this new space. And that removal allows you to believe that you are near the marine realm. The next thing that's important is establishing a very strict visual storytelling narrative throughout the installation. So the installations are set up as tunnel systems, and people walk through them and experience different animations and video segments in separate chambers. And the way that the information is projected onto these chambers controls the distribution of the scientific information that it's presenting. And in each chamber and throughout the installation, I have a very specific visual narrative set up, and I use a bookend technique. So I basically start with positive information, then lead to the negative information that I want to inform viewers of, and then end with positive information again. So I always first show the wonder and the beauty of the ocean to captivate the viewer. And then I slowly transition into the negative and then end on the beauty and the wonder of the ocean. So you are informing people of what the ocean was and what it could be again if the problem is fixed. The next point that's extremely important to these projects is having community-centric collaboration. So every single installation and every single part of the installation is created from a certain aspect in that community. So the plastic that's used to build the inflatable is collected and cleaned from that community. And the purpose there is so that when people are walking through these installations, they're informed where the plastic came from, and it serves as proof that plastic pollution is an immediate, real, and personal problem. Like, you can't walk through there and say, oh, the plastic pollution isn't a problem here. Like, there's no plastic here because they're walking through 200 feet of plastic. So the next thing is all of the visual imagery and all of the scientific research that's used to create the visual narratives are from collaborating marine science centers and research stations that are in waters that are directly affected by that community. So for instance, in the installation shown here, these were being exhibited in Iowa. And some of the visual information and the research that was being used were from the Gulf of Mexico, because Iowa's agricultural water runs off directly into the Gulf of Mexico. So again, this is presented to the people walking through the installations, and it proves that they are connected to the problem. Lastly, I have volunteers from different institutes that are in the community, and they speak with kids and students and viewers going through the installation about methods that they can do in their community to get involved and to help alleviate the threat of plastic pollution. To facilitate engagement within each of the installations, I do a bunch of different interactive activities that get kids and K through 12 students involved. So I have a lot of art processes that they can take part in. There are collaborative murals, scavenger hunts. I have marine biology professors come in and lead them on tours to discuss and have Q&A answer sessions inside of the inflatable. And I've also sent scuba divers. One time I sent my brother through in a scuba suit and all of his scuba gear, and he acted like he was a dive master, and he took these kids through like they were diving along a reef. And the most recent thing I've been working on is integrating AR technology into these installations. And the reason I'm doing that is because art processes and AR technology in environmental education increases engagement further, and it also increases comprehension and information retention, which when viewing negative information is difficult, as I've already pointed out. So having that further interaction kind of works as a decoy to ecophobia and climate anxiety, and it also extends learning and emotional engagement. So to end, I just wanted to say that technology can and should be used in environmental education to help build a better world. Bring it back to the talk. And thank you so much for having me.
JD, you are absolutely epic. Plasticity Project is incredible. I really encourage everyone to follow Plasticity Project on social media, on Instagram. JD is always posting really educational and amazing Instagram stories. So JD, put your the handle in the chat.
I can do that.
And our question comes from Jillian.
Your installations are beautiful. I hope one day I can experience one of them. One of my favorite things about technology is how greatly you can apply it to anything that you're passionate about. Where does your passion for the ocean come from? And what lasting impact do you hope to create with Plasticity Project?
So my entire family, they're all scuba divers. And so I've been fortunate enough to have been scuba diving for almost 20 years now. And as, I don't know, from a very young age, my parents had us scuba diving with marine conservation organizations and volunteering. And it's just always been in the background of everything that I do. But in 2010, I noticed a drastic change in the health of the ocean, and that just kind of made everything else in my life disappear, and my focus became solely on educating people on what I was seeing in the ocean to try and protect it and change what was going on. And what was the other question? The second part?
I guess the lasting impact.
Lasting impact. So I want Plasticity Project to be a launching point for people to get involved. I want people to first just experience the ocean and then have the opportunity to go and actually experience it in person, or to feel what I felt in 2010, like feel, oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful, wonderful place, and then be shocked by how it's being threatened and then want to help it. So I guess just to get more community engagement to protect the place that I love.
Thank you so much, JD. I'm just constantly blown away by you. And I love how you bring in community to the center of what you do. So thank you.
Thanks.
Now that we have Devshi back, and Devshi, I wish you were, your computer didn't crash because I was saying how amazing you are. So I'm really happy to bring you back to the virtual stage and finish up your presentation.
Thank you so much. I was actually on my very last slide, and so I'm not going to share my screen again. But I think the last thing I was saying was, I think trying to build your own business is a process of realizing every single month that you are completely behind and completely uneducated in a new sphere of work. It could be legal issues, could be team building issues, it could be marketing, but it's also the most fulfilling experience because I feel like I'm always learning, and it's in furtherance of a cause and a community I really care about. So that's it. I love this community, and thank you for having me today.
You rock, Devshi. Thank you so much. Michaela, do you have a question?
Yes, I find it very amazing that you built your own company at a young age. And what's some advice that you would give me, a 12th grade student, and others that who also want to make a big impact on the world?
Fantastic question. I would say the number one thing I would say is honestly build skills. build skills for the next 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, because there's going to be a lot of people who doubt you. Like even today, I had conversations where there were folks, before I said I was an engineer, they were like, what are you doing? Like, what are you working on? Like, I'm not sure if you can do this. And knowing that in my back pocket that I have, this years of experience, the actual ability to create something of my own has been so helpful in navigating conversations where people might want to doubt you. And also not having to rely on others to just like create whatever you want. So I think that's the coolest thing. And so at the age that you're at, I would say number one, build skills, but at the same time, engage with the communities you ultimately want to serve. When I was in Chicago, I think rather than, I guess, going to hackathons all the time, I would love to engage in direct service. I was spending more of my time in schools. I was, going to like lectures by racial justice activists. I was taking classes on human rights. And so I think as much as you can passively absorb for that period of time is incredible, but definitely don't forget to become like the strongest, most powerful version of yourself for the next couple of years. And then after that, then the world will see what you're capable of. So yeah, that's my advice.
Amazing advice, Devshi. Thank you so much for being here. I cannot say enough how incredible you are. You are incredible. Last, but certainly not least, we have Salim.
All righty, let me share my screen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Super. All righty. First of all, I really want to thank everybody for inviting me for this Code for Good Summit. And I'm incredibly honored to be in such a distinguished company. My name is Selim Tezel, and I'm a member of the MIT App Inventor education team. I have created some slides here for you, and I tried to put it on the chat also. I don't know if it showed up, but it's MIT AI-Code for Good, and it's a bit.ly URL. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about how MIT App Inventor is being used to build a better world. Now, before I go into that direction, I just want to quickly make sure that everybody's familiar with the MIT App Inventor coding environment. MIT App Inventor is a completely visual language. As you can see on the left, we have what is called the components palette, where you drag and drop individual components and build your app gradually. And as you're dropping these components, what happens is in the viewer, you can see visually what is happening. And on the very right, you can see here the properties panel, and you can alter the properties of individual components you have imported, their length, width, text, and other properties. And everything happens in real time. Now, when you're done with the design, you click on the upper right corner that I'm pointing here, which is called the blocks button. And the moment you do that, you come to the actual coding environment, which is completely block-based. It looks like you're putting a bunch of puzzle pieces together. And it is designed in such a manner that it is practically impossible to make syntax errors. Thus, it is very appealing to beginning level programmers. I want to quickly share some statistics. These are numbers from last year. Throughout the world, we have about 10-12 million users. And altogether, these people have created in the order of 42 million apps. We enjoy about 100,000 daily active users and about 1 million monthly active users. Throughout the world, we have a lot of different participation. US has the lead now, followed by many countries, and those numbers are increasing very nicely. Now, I want to quickly talk about our mission. Our primary mission is what is called the democratization of the app development environment. App development for the longest time has been a specialty of highly technically educated elite group of programmers. But what we tried to do is we wanted to create a coding environment that is so easy to use that even very young children have the chance to create something with that. The second point in our mission is we want to create tools that change young people's perception of themselves. I think it is very important that people see themselves in a better light, from consumer mentality to become a creator. And also, especially during the pandemic, young people are feeling a lot of sense of helplessness. And we're hoping with tools like App Inventor to give them a sense of empowerment. Last point in our mission is promoting computational action. Computational action can be defined as using the power of computing to make a meaningful social impact. And I want to give a few examples of that from the world. The first example is from Mumbai, India, from a slum called Dharavi. In 2014, a nonprofit was founded with the aim of educating young girls and teaching them coding and specifically building applications, apps. And the girls created some wonderful community-related apps, such as coordinating garbage collection, teaching kids about math, English, Hindi, creating apps for women's safety, coordinating water collection, etc. This incredible effort was recognized by Google with their Rise Award. The second example is called Hello Navi. It's from Los Fresnos, Texas, from the Resaca Middle School. 6 girls wanted to help their blind classmates who was having a lot of difficulty navigating the school environment. So they built for him a school navigation app, and they participated in Verizon's Innovative App Challenge, and they became finalists in that contest. And in 2014, they met President Obama at the White House at a science fair. The next example of computational action is from Hong Kong. Middle school students from Hong Kong created a dementia care companion app to alleviate suffering and conditions associated with the ailment dementia. Their effort was recognized in 2017 by the Technovation Grand Prize, by receiving the Technovation Grand Prize. Technovation is a competition for girls, in creating applications. The apps that they created had features such as alarms, locator functions for helping people not get lost, giving caregiver tips, having games to test and exercise mental functions of the patients, and humanized messages recorded with family member voices. Now, on this topic, I also want to mention that Hong Kong is one of the first territories in which App Inventor is, there's an effort to make App Inventor used throughout the school system. Hong Kong Jockey Club has paired up with App Inventor team, and with a project called Cool Think, we are making sure that every classroom at the primary school level has access to MIT App Inventor and the curriculum. Lastly, I want to talk about Gitanjali Rao. You might recognize her from recent news. About 3 years ago, she created a project called Tethys, named after the Greek goddess of fresh water. Gitanjali was very interested in trying to solve Flint, Michigan's lead poisoning disaster. So what she ended up creating is a device that, with the help of MIT App Inventor, talks to a mobile phone, and it reports whether the drinking water is safe or not. It was a wonderful beginning of a scientific career. In the 3 years, her career really took off, And you may recognize that recently Time Magazine awarded her the first ever Kid of the Year award. And there's a wonderful interview in the magazine that I think you'll enjoy reading. Now, I want to quickly talk about a few of the more current activities at the App Inventor team. Soon after the pandemic became prevalent in the United States, we launched the Coronavirus App Challenge and invited our global community of app developers to create apps that help with the challenges of the pandemic. People were, invited to create apps that, inform people about facts of the virus, or, allow people to connect with each other in case of an emergency, inform people about volunteer opportunities in a community, etc. And we had, especially in the beginning months of the pandemic, tremendous interest in this contest. We got submissions from all over the world. And all of these are, the winning projects are posted off our website, and you can actually download the particular apps that people created. This event was followed by our App Inventor Hackathon, sometimes called the Global Appathon for Good. This was a much bigger event, and we wanted to keep the themes of the projects very broad. We didn't want to limit people, so they could create apps to address any of the current global challenges that we are facing right now. For example, climate change, ending poverty, healthcare, issues about living together, learning and working remotely, social and racial justice, etc. This hackathon was very also popular. About 1,100 people submitted, they registered. And you can see there the age distribution. Our median age was 16, but we had a long tail in this graph all the way to people in their early 70s. 71 countries participated. India has been taking the lead on this, followed by US, but a lot of other countries. I have put here some links in case you look at the slides on your own. Recently, these events, the media became interested in, in the hackathon and the Coronavirus App Challenge. MIT News, CNN, Voice of America, they wanted to, get more information about the app developers and interview them. The Voice of America especially is a very nice 2-minute video that you might enjoy watching because it summarizes the entire process. Finally, I just want to give an example of resources we have. This is from our YouTube website. A tutorial there is called End Hunger Now app tutorial. And for this tutorial, we assume that people are at the beginning level of app development. We don't assume any prior knowledge. It's a 1-hour tutorial. And in 1 hour, step by step, a lot of things are shown so that at the end of 1 hour, the students are able to create an app that is using cloud computing. So from beginner level to something as complicated as cloud computing. The purpose of the app that is developed with the help of the tutorial is to prevent wasting of food at local eateries and restaurants, and facilitating the transfer of these things to local homeless shelters and alleviate the hunger issues locally. At MIT App Inventor, we are hoping to change the world 1 app at a time. I'm delighted to be here, and I will pause the share now so I can see the rest of you and hear any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salim. I have so much respect and love for the App Inventor team. App Inventor really is such an accessible way to introduce especially young learners to computer science. I love sharing this story. At Code Your Dreams, we had a first grade student who built an app for when others like her would become anxious or stressed, and it would help users do breathing exercises with them. And that is just so extraordinary, the power that your team is putting in the hands of young learners. So thank you for everything that you do. I will hand it off to Michaela. Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. So MIT App Inventor was an amazing way for me to learn about computer science. I will continue to use it. And I wanted to know what inspired you to join the App Inventor team?
App Inventor team. So what happened is very interesting. I became very interested in a mathematical puzzle called the 8 Queens problem some years ago when I was in my early 30s. And just to be able to solve that problem, I wanted to learn coding. So I went to graduate school. And in graduate school, because I was such a late arrival, I had a lot of difficulties, issues about syntax errors, all kinds of challenges. But I managed to learn it. But just as I was graduating, a program called Scratch was being released. And I had some people that I knew from MIT that I visited them and learned about that. And it has always been at the back of my mind to learn more about Scratch and even participate in their activities. Also around that time, MIT App Inventor was being created first at Google, but then it came to MIT. And I basically wanted to be part of a programming environment where the ease of entry it's very accessible. It allows the people to focus on what they want to create and not be lost by details such as syntax, etc. in coding. So that was part of my reasons, I think, becoming a member of the App Inventor team.
Thank you so much, Salim. Well, there we have it, folks. I just want to say, first and foremost, moderators, Jillian and Michaela, you are brilliant, powerful young women. And I'm just excited that I've been able to be, and we've all been able to be a part of your story. I'm excited to continue to see the great impact that you make on this world. Thank you so much for sharing, and quite honestly, being the best moderators we could ever wish for. So everyone could applaud for Michaela and Jillian. They were just absolutely phenomenal. Of course, thank you to our speakers. You were great too. So Elle, Sophia, Nelly, Devshi, JD, and Salim, you're all extraordinary. And thank you for spending the time with us and just continuing to inspire us all. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to both Code Your Dreams and TechLit Africa for hosting. And I'm excited to say that we can continue this impact party on Gamer Jibe if anyone would like to join. I'm going to put the link in the chat. This Gamer Jibe is one of our sponsors. They're great people. It's a 3D virtual platform, so everyone can create their own avatars. We'll have virtual booths. For example, Microsoft Teals has one. Code Your Dreams and TechLit Africa also have virtual booths that you can go and check out. And there's just a lot of things to explore within the Gamer Jibe platform. So with that, thank you to all of our attendees. I just want to shout out Code Your Dreams students that are on this call. Thank you for showing up. And I'll be calling on you to be future moderators for some of these events in the near future. So with that, have a great night. Hope to see you in Gamer Jibe, and keep up the great impact. Thank you.
Thanks so much.